Hello, YouTube. This is Mickey D bringing you episode 36 of Stationeers. Um, I'll jump right. Oh, well, I've already switched over the screen. Okay. Um, so I did a little bit of work off camera, a little bit more than I was planning on. But before that, I didn't end up streaming yesterday. I was planning on it, but when I depressurized the base to work on the greenhouse, since we're going to have to kind of mix the two areas, and we're keeping the greenhouse with CO2, it took forever, like I don't know, an hour and a half to depressurize the base. So I'd really like to get the multiple vents working again at some point. Makes it a lot faster to depressurize the base. Um, but we've got to get it set up so it works without making pipes explode. So one of the things that, and I mentioned it in the last episode, was I was going to set up the automatic control for the heaters and the cooling for the base like I did with the greenhouse. Well, um, I wanted to tie a pressure sensor into that as well so that when we depressurize the base, it doesn't try to run the heating and cooling. And that took me forever to figure out. I had not used the selector switches before, and I was trying to figure out how to work the override in there. Um, so basically, what we've got is our high temp, low temp, like in the greenhouse. Um, we've got a temp reader, which is reading the base temperature, and which is at 0 degrees, so it's reading 0, which is fine. Um, and we have a pressure. Well, okay, so then we've got a writer that writes to our heaters, and we've got a writer that writes to the ACs, and that's based off of whatever our high temp and low temp are. So basically, we read the pressure, the, the temperature in the base, like in the greenhouse. It compares to these two, and then if it's above the limit, it kicks in the ACs, and these are kind of reversed. It gets kind of weird on the naming scheme here, but so we've got a low temp of 293, which should be 20 degrees Celsius basically, or about, and a high temp of 296, which should be slightly above 20 degrees Celsius. So base shouldn't get too cold, too hot, and there might be a little bit of flickering when they get down at the very end of the range or the upper end of the range, but they should, you know, basically have a buffer so they're not constantly, heater kicks off, AC kicks on, heater kicks on, back and forth, back and forth. So it should give us a little bit of a buffer range. So if it's below, so base temp reader is less than the low temp, it kicks on the heaters. Um, so wall heaters is reading. Okay, and this is where it gets weird because it reads the high temp override, the low temp override. Now this is where, so this all runs what the temperature control is. This and all this is the override. So if we have, basically what it's set is if the base pressure is below 20, which we can't breathe, and I was thinking about setting it 8 where the AC is, but if we're below 20, we're already depressurizing the base anyway. So if the base pressure is below 20, that's what this is comparing against. So base pressure reader, which is reading off of the same sensor as the temperature, it's just pulling pressure off. So kind of the same setup as the high and low, but it's reading pressure instead, and it's comparing it to this temperature cutoff. If it is below that temperature cutoff, so we've got pressure reader is greater than the cutoff. And then this is an override, which is just set at 0. So what it does is if, now the selector says this is the pressure range and this is the pressure range. So they're reading this pressure range, and it's either going to give it a 1 or a 0, depending if it's above 20. And if it's below 20, then it's going to kick out this 0, which is the high temperature override. And then, well, let me see, here we go. Pressure override, which is basically it's telling it it's 0. And if it's above, then it's going to go base high temp limit. So then it refers back to this, and then it'll let that ride. So basically, it's overriding which one of these is being read, either the high temp limit or the 0, or the low temp limit and the 0. So basically, it's if it says there's no pressure, then it's basically making these, forcing this to read a 0. And then the batch writers, instead of reading off of the heat, they're reading off of these. So that way, yeah, if we have a 0 or low temp, if we have a low pressure, it's going to force this to be a 0, and it'll shut off the AC and it'll shut off the heat. Yeah, that took me like, I don't know, way too long, like 2 hours to get that figured out for how to get the selector switches to work. And now, as of the last, and we're still in the beta branch, which there's only been, I think, one change opposed to the main line branch, and it's with terrain generation. So since the wall heaters now pull 100 watts each, we've got to break the wall heaters out, because if it kicks on, and I did do a real quick test, I got the base slightly pressurized, and it basically overloads the lines. It doesn't blow anything, but there's not enough power. So everything kind of just flickers on and off as the heaters are basically trying to draw all the power. And that's going to be part of the base tweaks for the greenhouse, which we're going to roll into here in a minute, since we need to isolate the greenhouse from the rest of the system, because since we are using batch writers for the heat and the AC to control all the units in the base, the greenhouse needs to be on its own line so that these aren't being controlled. Otherwise, it's going to try to kick on the AC and cool it to, slightly above 20 degrees Celsius, which we want the greenhouse hotter than that. And I guess while we have the base depressurized, we're going to have to see about breaking. Oh, and yeah, I stole the heater to use down there for testing. So, and there is no AC down there right now, which we still have to get up. So we'll throw a heater in there real quick to get that back up and running. So we have, yeah, so so basically I tested it, made sure it worked, and then I had to, oh, I think there's one fix I gotta do. Well, we'll have to do that real quick. When I tested it, there was one little bug in the system, which is a quick fix. But, oh, come on, heater, wall heater, thank you. So, since it takes so long to depressurize the base, even though I didn't have it all depressurized, I didn't want to have to, wait for the base depressurize. So I just rolled back a couple of minutes before I basically made 2 saves. Oh, we don't want to be down here. Well, yeah, we'll do this real quick. So I made what I did was where was the mistake I want? We want the low temp override. These are backwards, basically. I have the wall. Yeah, see, this is referring the AC is referring to the high temp limit, and the let me see, right? Yeah, and that's referring to the high temp override. So really, one of those should be the high temp, one should be the low temp. And a quick no. Oh, and we got an autosave going on right now. And a quick note, which is to make things a little bit easier to work on, if you isolate the circuit, then you don't have to cycle through everything in the base, which makes it quite a bit easier to get to. You don't have to like cycle forever. So high temp override, which is the high temp limit. So we want to go that on the AC. So this wants to be the high temp limit, which is correct. This, no, we want this to be the high temp override. We want this to be the low temp override, because this is doing the heaters. So this is, oh, and I just passed it. So this is going to be our low temp override, and this is our high temp override. Yes, right? Low temp, low temp, low temp limit. Yes. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, nope, reversed. Reversed other way. Low temp limit is if base temperature is less than, yeah, we want to reverse that. So heaters wants to read off a low temp override. No, wait a minute. Low temp override, high temp override. Yeah, okay, no, we got that right. So we're all set there now. And now we can go work on the greenhouse. We'll go ahead and hook this back up since we're down here. All right, and yeah, we're gonna have to isolate either just the wall heaters, run a separate line to them, or I'm thinking just try to isolate different sections of the base. You know, if the wall heaters take 1,000 watts, then as long as we're not drawing over 4,000 on the other stuff, we should be fine. I did, if anybody's noticed, I messed with the graphics settings a little bit. It seems like the last few updates have really kind of tanked the graphics, the FPS. So I did drop it down, and it's it's still not great. We're up at like 30, I think. So. And off camera, which let me see if I'll show it here. The other thing that I did work on, I did let all the plants grow, and then I pulled them out. So we've got 26 ferns that we can plant. I got the ACs working right finally. So the issue is when I was pulling air. I was thinking, pull air in, run it through. It was coming back to a passive vent. Okay, you don't want the passive vent on there. That's what was screwing it up. You want it to, so because basically there was a passive vent on there, it wasn't really pressurizing this line. You just want it nothing at the end. So basically what it does is these do not actually move air, they only move heat. So basically it pulls the heat out of the room and dumps it into the pipe. If you have the air flowing through it, it just basically makes it not work right. So as soon as I hooked that up, it just like immediately started dropping the temperature. The question is now that I've made that longer, as far as I know, they only equalize to the temperature or the pressure in the room, and they don't actually pressurize. So hopefully we shouldn't lose, because we're still really low on carbon dioxide. And I went ahead and did that on all of them. So they're all set up. I figured that was a nice minor change, and I was sitting there fiddling with it, and finally got it working. So we got a couple of changes, and that's where I pulled out that vent. And what the issue he's running into is, I believe this is set up for, we want to reverse how this is set up. I believe this is set up for, it's filtering out oxygen. We don't want that. We want this to filter out carbon dioxide. And instead of, the way I initially set it up basically was the filter is pulling out everything from the room, running it through, dumping the oxygen back into the system. So we get the oxygen out of here, and then dump it back in. Well, the bad thing is and kind of like the mistake I made when I initially set up my airlock, the main airlock, is that doing it that way, we're dumping all the pollutants and everything else back into the room, which basically gives us no way to remove them. And, over time they're going to build up and whatnot. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this. We're going to put a carbon dioxide filter in here and have it return carbon dioxide to the room. And then everything else is going to go to the waste line to be reprocessed through the main filter system. And then that should that should keep it from having issues. So we need to go make a carbon filter real quick. And there was one other thing that I was thinking of. Oh, and we're going to pull these out and put regular blocks there. just so we can run lights and whatnot across the top. And then, because we haven't, we can't really stick anything to the panels, which is really, really annoying. And I don't know if we have, do we have a carbon? I don't think we have a carbon filter. So we'll go ahead and make one real quick. And I was going to say, I think there's something else that CO2. There we go. So we're going to set it up this way. And what was there? I could have swore there was something else that I was thinking of, or that I had thought of, or possibly had done. Yeah, no, I think that was it. All right, so we're gonna wanna, and I'm still, I mean, I really wish you could mount these on something so we could leave it. I guess it works. We shouldn't really have to get into it after this. I'm just thinking it would be nice to be able to, if we ever have to mess with it, to not have to depressurize the whole entire base. But all right, so what do we've got? This is our CO2 supply, and eventually we will hook this up to, which is the only reason I want to do this, so we can put chips up here. So right now this just pushes out everything out because we don't even get enough to pressurize. But I do want to put a switch on there so that, if we ever hit 100 kPa, it basically shuts this off. But that'll probably be a little bit down the line, or maybe we'll go ahead and do it now. So we're going to have to change how this is run, because this is tying into our oxygen, which we definitely don't want to be dumping everything into our oxygen. And we're going to need to, oh, no, I'm stuck on pipes. And what do we have here? So our filter input, that's fine. We can leave that the same. Our filter waste and our filter output. So we're filtering CO2, which is fine. This one, so we'll have to change that to run to the intake line, the processing line, which is unfortunately all the way down at the other end. I don't know if we had tossed out some of that, so I don't know if I've still got a line running up there for the waste or not. I kind of have a feeling that we pulled out the whole entire line, which is going to kind of be a pain. So maybe we'll run one. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out, how the best way is going to be to run that. So intake, so the filter output, we can now connect right to this because this is our CO2 line. So we will actually just tie in, and because this is now set up, well, actually we do kind of need that part. We're going to need a T off of this. And then that will give us, I kind of want to try to leave room in here to walk around. Let me see. So if we do something like, where's our CO2 line coming in? Oh, I should have grabbed the right there. Okay, so we can go ahead and tie in, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe we'll just pull, oh, that cable's gonna be in the way too, yeah. All right, so we're gonna just immediately move up. And I think we should be able to just put a, I don't want to say I'm going to put a T on here. Yeah, we can go back that way. That'll work. It's going to make it really, really tight, but we shouldn't. It should be an area we shouldn't really have to go into again. I say that, and then, you know, we'll have something we have to rewire or something. And we'll put a corner in here, and then I think pressure sensor. I'd like to kind of do the same thing that I set up in the base, and that is I'll put the pressure override in. Come on, come. Why are you not grabbing? Ah, there we go. And can we still get in? Oh, okay, we might still be able to get around in here. The question is if we're going to be able to get over here or not. So we'll do a corner. And, and yes, logic, the computers are still broken, which is, you know, hopefully they'll get to. Oh, yeah, we're not going to be able to. We can do that. Jetpack to the rescue. All right, so we hook that up to the filter input, filter output. Oh, we hooked that up. All right. Let's not. That could have been bad. All right. This one needs to tie in, not that one. All right. So, and that. Is that cable gonna be? Oh no, that. That cable may be in the way. So I'm thinking. My thought was just do a 3-way corner down here. But I don't. Can we put a? No. All right, so we're gonna have to run it up one. All right, so we'll get a corner in here, and then we'll put a T in right here. And then this should. All right, well, this should actually work out a little bit better because then we should actually still be able to get in here. So CO2 line. Our filter output, which is outputting CO2, so it ties in there. This is the section we now do not need running up to here, and we can tie that in. And what am I stuck on? Am I stuck in? Oh, I guess I'm stuck on the edge of the block. All right, so we'll run this. We'll loop this around. That way we can still get back in here. Because now we need this tied in. And so I'm glad I'm finally got the ACs up and running because that was getting kind of a pain. And hopefully now the furnace room will actually cool quite a bit better because it wasn't really. All right, so yes. There we go. So input coming in from the room, and this just runs all the time. And we got an autosave. Inputs into the room from the room, comes through, filters the output, goes back into. It's going to output the CO2, and into this. This is the CO2 system. The line coming in from there, and then. The CO2 system, it'll, you know, pressurize it. And right now, since we don't have enough, it's dumping everything into there, into the room. But in hopefully some future update will, you know, maybe if you actually burn coal, you'll actually get CO2 or, you know, whatever they actually turn it into. I don't even know why it's, you know, we can get volatiles. Just, you know, let us burn the volatiles. I mean, obviously it burns. It's in a torch, so and we use it in a furnace. So I don't know why we just can't have a, just burn that. All right, so this is the part that's going to be, let's see, this is the oxygen line, which we don't need to be tied up into this anymore. So we can get rid of that. And we'll just change that to be a corner. And yeah, just like that. All right. And I really got to go through, probably off camera, I got to go through and paint all these lines so I can. Let's try to clean some of this up. And we'll throw, oh, well, yeah. Oh, by the way, if you throw something and it's against a wall, I almost killed myself the other day. I threw something and I was like, I don't know, I was moving pipes around or something. And I basically was like, oh, I'll just drop them against the wall. Yeah, I threw them, it bounced back, hit me, and tore my suit. I was like, ooh. All right, so we need to tie into, all right, let's go see here. So unfortunately, the intake is all the way over here. So this is the main intake line, basically right here, all this that runs through, this is the actual start of the line right here. So runs through the whole filtration system. So we're going to have to pull into this, which unfortunately we did have a line here, and then when I pulled out all of the other air returns, for lack of a better word, because since we had exploding pipes, I get to put some type of pressure regulator on them, I think. And I'm going to have to mess with that and see. Now we're going to use all the pipes that we saved from doing that before. Because, oh, hang on. Sorry about that. I had a cough. All right. Yeah, I'll have to see, because I guess we could do something kind of like we have over here, where we've got an analyzer, because those can go right on after the vents, as long as there's not a corner. Because the problem is a lot of them were blowing out on the elbows, since that's the first one it tries to put into. I think we'd have to do a straight stretch, basically coming straight down, have a pipe analyzer on there, and if the pressure's too high, basically have it shut off. Now can I run? Okay, so we can actually run right down on the corner right here. Oh well, except we have wiring right there. Okay, that's not gonna work. I guess we can run down on this side. So let me see, we'll run down. We might be able to, no, we're a little too far over. I'd rather not have to snake this around constantly to get this through here. The good thing is this does reset up the line to have more than one return, because like I said, it took me like an hour and a half to depressurize the base, which was a bit crazy. Oh no, wait a minute. We do have a return line we can tie into. That's right. This right here. So this is the return line that's still there, because this is for the base. This is the purification for the base. So it doesn't pull oxygen and nitrogen. It pulls everything else. If you were watching the last episode, I wasn't sure if it was working or not. So after the episode, I sat with the oxygen monitor, or with the atmospheric tablet, and watched, and it's slow, but it does pull down. And whether or not it's slow just because we were down to really low amounts, like 1 to 2% of CO2 that was in the base, plus pollution. Um, whether or not it was just so slow because it's such a big base, it's one purifier. Um, I was thinking about adding, uh, tying this in to be one in each room, because we get a really big pressure differential. It's 20 to 30 kPa higher on the output side than it is on the input side. So I mean, it's really moving air. But yeah, so we can tie right into that line then, and that'll make that a lot simpler. So we will just tie right into, we can run it right down this way, so we'll put one right here. Kind of flew off of there. And we'll make this a T. And there we go. So now we should just be able to run this right down. Yeah, that's good. I forgot that this line was still running up here for that. And I'm still waiting for, I haven't seen anything else on the ore scanner yet. I haven't been out on a mining expedition, so I haven't seen if there's anything. Okay, we'll go top that off here in a second. Which I guess was kind of the focus of the last really, since we're on the beta branch, that was like the last new thing added. And it basically, as soon as I ended the stream, it updated, so it must have come out while I was doing the last stream. But I haven't really been outside except right around the base, and that was just to do the ACs and stuff. And we're gonna jog this over, so then we'll line up, and hopefully everything goes good. We still got to isolate the and I'm actually wondering, so I'm actually thinking about moving these walls back to here. I don't know if the doors will like that or not. I'll have to test that out, because that would then let us access this without having to depressurize the greenhouse. As long as we didn't come up into the top part, we could just leave the bottom like exposed down there as a little niche. Something maybe to think about. I don't know. I'm still debating on whether or not to add like a little utility room off of the greenhouse. Maybe I'll just wait until there's a more of a reason to do so. Okay, so now that should tie in for the greenhouse now. We're tied into the waistline, basically, as I like to call it. And let's just double check. We should be fine because we already checked on the other ones. So yes, our waistline goes up, ties in. So anything that's not CO2 will basically get dumped back into the system to be refiltered and cleaned out, and go back into its corresponding storage tanks. We could. So the other thing right now too is when we run the airlock, it dumps back into here for the CO2. Since it wasn't really, battery. Since it wasn't really working out well to try to have a standard airlock there. I really wish they would get a setup where you could, especially where we do have the greenhouses, which have a different environment, that, we have a setup where you can pull, from two different atmospheres. That would be nice. Hopefully maybe down the line we'll have something like that. Yeah, we'll have to see. All right, so here we go. And all right, right, so we should be able to close that all up now. I'm not going to mess with all the returns just yet. Actually, we should leave it open until we get our power. We might have to get in there for the power. Trying to remember, I know base. So we're going to have to figure out how much. Okay, so the greenhouse, we want all separate, which is obviously this AC, this, that filter, all these electronics, which tie in off of this, which ties in off of this. I think, yeah, we should be all right on that. I think it's mainly, and I believe we tied in right here. So we'll open this up, which isn't bad because we're down at this end anyway, and that's where the transformers are, so we can set up a separate transformer for it. And then this should tie in over up to here, run over down into the computer chips down here. And so the main question is going to be, where does all that tie into? Because really, what we're going to want to do is tie it in. I dropped the wrong thing. There we go. We can tie in up off of this that way, and then that'll work. That'll all be on the same system. We'll have to see what the draw is on it. I'm assuming, oh, we probably got a couple 100 watts down there. Obviously 1,000 watts there. I'm not sure how much the lights run. If anybody knows, post it in the comments. I should, oh, actually, you know what? Hang on. I do have a, I wonder if it's on the Stationeers cheat sheet. It's a really good Google document if anybody's playing, that basically has data on atmospherics, the burst. The main thing I got it for was the burst pressure on the pipes. You know, I'm sure at some point I'll get this all memorized. You know, container capacities, pipe energy radiation into space, you know, how much energy it's used when it's in sunlight. There's a difference. Convection if in atmosphere versus in space. And then it's got a whole bunch of random kind of energy conversions and stuff on it, but it's got a whole electrical one as well, which gives you, you know, like how much, like the small battery actually carries 36 kilowatts. The large cell carries 288. I'll throw the link in the description. It is pretty useful if you're playing. It'll give you the energy usage of stuff. So here we go. Power draws. So it would be nice if they and they're kind of always working on it, and it'll tell you if, like, if it's idle or active or if it varies. So for example, the sensor actually doesn't draw any power. Oh, that's good to know. Okay, how much power does the lights draw? UV wall light. Okay, so the power draw when it's on is 50 watts. So we've got two, so there's 100 watts right there. The cooler, it always draws, I guess, as long as it's on, even if it's not cooling. It draws 5 watts. And then when it's actually cooling, it varies, I guess, depending on how much heat it's moving. And what else? Logic is 10 watts. Processor is 25. I don't think the memory doesn't actually draw power because it's only data. And then what else? We got the doors, the glass doors draw 25. Filtration draws, is that right? Filtration only draws 5 watts. That seems kind of, well, I guess you're basically just pulling air through. Or gases. Um, yeah, it's pretty good. It's got stuff for the hydroponics, and ideal temperature is 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. Minimum pressure, oh, that's good, is 6.3 kPa. That was something I was wondering about. Um, oh, and the higher the CO2 concentration in the room, the faster the conversion to O2. And the plants do consume the water. I was wondering about that. It's really, really low, though. It's 400th of a mole an hour. Um, okay, yeah, it's pretty good. So hopefully we should be all right on the on the power draw. Okay, if not, then we can always change it out to a bigger transformer. But I think we'll start. We'll try the small one and see. Um, all right, so we're gonna want to change over here, and where do we have? All right, so we're not gonna want to tie in off of this line here. Now the question is hopefully I don't have too much. I tried to run the lines as simple as possible before. So that's a junction. We can change that to a straight line. And let's drop that. And let's combine all of our cables for now. And we're probably going to have to make more cable. I meant to do it before the episode and I forgot. I used a ton when I was doing all the chips down below earlier. Of course, I mean, you always use a ton of wiring. And pipes. Pipes get crazy too. Okay, so this should be able to change to a straight line. I believe this ties into the door, then it comes up over to the pressure over there. So, and where was, the question is where's the power line for the AC at? Ah, there it is. So yeah, we don't want that. Probably tied in over there. And one of these days I'll find a place to put this crate that I don't keep moving it around. No, I haven't had to move it too much lately, so it's probably getting closer to its final home. Actually, what is there? I don't even think I have anything in. Oh, I still got paint cans and flares. Honestly, the flares I should probably just recycle. I don't think I'll ever use them. All right, so we can change that to be a corner and, oh, no, actually, yeah, we do need to, oh, and I ran it right down there, didn't I? Which I don't, it's one thing I don't like is you can't pull up when it's on the edge of a block like this. So we gotta grind down the block. All right, so we need this to be a junction. Yeah, we'll have to hopefully we don't miss anything and have some weird, run around and try to figure out why one section of the base is not, getting power or something. All right, so I need the grinder. I haven't needed to use that in a while. All right, now hopefully we can get, there we go. Oh, yeah, we should be all right now. All right, so now that is isolated, and what we'll do is end up, oh, wait. Okay, yeah, this should be all the greenhouse stuff coming here. So we should be able to disconnect this line and bring everything separate. And then since this is the last room on this corner, wherever this line is, we can tie into that. That can be a separate, that'll be its own zone. Basically, this will be its own zone. And this is where it's going to get kind of interesting. Maybe what we'll do is this side will be its own zone since it's got, well, the cooler doesn't actually, yeah, maybe we'll do that. That'll be its own zone. And I think Oh, yeah, this is all kind of like a mismatch over there. That's going to get kind of... And... Yeah, this section here and that section there is where it's going to get kind of interesting. It's the problem with having the base grow over time is, well, and then until they changed the heaters, there was you know what? Maybe I can just. I swear, I feel like I'm in a VR game when I trying to move these around. Here, we'll just stick it over here since we have this. There. Since I have no plans for that section of wall, I say that. I'll add something to the game and I'll have to build something there. Alright. So we're going to take that and take this. And we'll just rotate this around the other way. I think we're going to end up having to break into that. We might be able to get through there all right. And I think if we actually just do we'll do it from the other side. All right, let's put that back down. We've got enough parts of the base laying around on the floor, so. All right, and now I think what we're gonna, yeah. Oh, were you not able to, oh, logic writer, oh, to the AC. Yeah, I can't read to the AC, yeah, okay. Yeah, it can't write to the AC because it's not connected. I was like, well, everything's right there, but not quite. All right, so let us, I'm thinking, and probably just do a three-way corner right there. And, oh, yeah, we can't. Yeah, you can't go across angles. All right, so we'll do a corner down into the floor. And then we can tie off and move up and over. Which, it's nice that I can, I guess, place them from underneath. All right, so we'll do a junction. There we go. So we'll tie in right here. There we go. And then that will let us run. Can we maybe... we should be able to go through that pipe because it's a straight section. I'm wondering if, oh, nice. Yeah, if we can get down in there, we'll have to dig that out. Oh, wrong one. And I don't know if anybody saw or not, but somebody made a working spaceship, which I thought you could not do yet. Very basic. They had to power it with a coal generator, which was kind of funny. There's a YouTube video on it. I forget who does it. It's not anybody I'm familiar with. It just caught my eye. And I think, oh no, we did connect. Okay, so we should be good there. And we need to tie in off of the heater, which we'll have to do. We'll bring that down and around and tie in off of that line once we get the wall put back together. So we should be able to close all this up now. I don't know. I probably won't put the pressure sensor in right now. We won't have time to do it this episode, I think. I'm trying to keep the episodes. I always say this, but you know, I do try to keep the episodes to like an hour, just so if somebody's watching them later on. I will probably do another stream immediately after this one, though, since I'm kind of in the mood to build some stuff. Okay. Yeah, I like this a lot better because that works better than having it tie into the way it used to tie in with the. Oop, yeah, make sure we turn that off before we put that away. All right, I think we can do a turn right there. And we should be able to go pretty good. Very nice. The only, oh yeah, the only thing I didn't like is our return and our filter are basically right. Well, our CO2 supply and then the filtration is right side by side, so it's going to be constantly just, you know, it does kind of matter game wise. You know what I might do is if I move the AC over one, I can bring this line up and put the intake on that side. That was a flaw I kind of noticed when it was running before. Yeah, we'll do that. That'll straighten that out a little bit better. And that's kind of true for pretty much anything that's moving air in the game is your returns and whatnot, intakes and outputs are close together. It does kind of, you know, I guess the game does kind of track that, you know, where an actual, where the actual air is coming from or moving to and from. Okay, so now we can just tie in right there. And let's get these out. Yeah, I was actually thinking we were going to run out of cable before now, but we definitely will run out. I'll make some before I start the next episode. That way you guys aren't waiting for cables to get done. All right. So did we put back all of the... yeah, I think I did put back all the pipes, didn't I? Oh, well, we need to come out here anyway and grab the, we need pipes. Let's grab a full stack. It's not a full stack. That's a full stack. And we're going to need the frames. And I'm trying to remember, is that grinder? Oh, crowbar. Yes. And now wrench? No. Screwdriver? No. Grinder? A grinder. Oh, that's right. I was thinking they were glass. Those ones weren't glass. Walls, walls. Let's put the walls back. And autosave. Well, this is good. This will be all isolated, and now we can kick the greenhouse back on. We were getting some oxygen production off of it. Hopefully, as we get more CO2, that'll ramp up, and we get more plants as well. That will ramp up. Okay, so we're going to change this, which I don't think looks quite as nice, but that's why I'm really would like to... I'm going to test it. Will it let me put the wall there? Because I wouldn't actually mind having a little bit more. I mean, this is kind of useless space on the base side of it. so we could move the windows there. Yeah, that'll work. I think that would work pretty good. All right, so let us get pry bar. Why is it always pry bar on glass? That never makes sense to me. And we went iron, iron. Oh, did I put those in? Yes. And as far as I remember, the Windows side does matter. Actually, why would it matter? Because we've got, it holds pressure on either side. I don't think it actually honestly matters, but we want the nice side to look at either way. There we go. Oh. Oh, because then if you put your walls on, it would be smooth. Okay. Wait, was that? Oh. I put those up as walls, didn't I? Yes. Yeah, we want windows. More smart people talk. Hey Fuzzy, how's it going? No, this is pretty much tearing apart and just revamping a little bit, getting some things straightened out so the systems work a little bit better. And there we go. How you been doing? You see they had a huge update on the Space Engineers today? And yeah, if I walk into things, it's because I'm looking at the chat at the same time and trying to walk around, which does not necessarily always work that well. Oh, I've got steel sheets everywhere. Let's go track all those down and put the wall. I actually found an iron sheet buried in a wall earlier. I was like, why do I have an extra sheet? Okay, so we don't. Oh, we do need that passive vent. And we actually need some sheets. Actually, the pipe we can go ahead and run because the pipe will connect to itself. It was a huge update. They did wheels, a whole bunch of. They changed the skybox. The suspension kind of like preloads now, so if you jump, they took out a whole bunch of wheel settings that I guess the game manually automatically controls now that are were kind of obsolete. 2, 3. You know, that's the filter. We could actually dump the airlock into the when we send the CO2 back, we could dump it right into the filter. That would actually, oh yeah, floating pipe. That would actually work really well. And then we can get rid of that vent we don't need. And I am so surprised they don't take damage when the sheets fall on you. Hey, seawalls. Oh, now everybody's getting talkative. How's everybody doing tonight? And what was yeah, what else did they do on Space Engineers? They did oh, it was quite a bit of stuff. They added like I forget what they called it, like extreme level textures for the blocks, which they did note was not for gameplay. I think it's if you want to do, you know, if you want to take a really cool snapshot. it will, do that. I'm doing pretty good. Um, Temperature's kind of dropping like crazy here, so I think we're down to we're supposed to get like -13 tonight with the wind chill, Fahrenheit. If anybody's doesn't use Fahrenheit. Um, Other than that, had a truck catch on fire at work yesterday. That made it kind of exciting. So had to run and grab a fire extinguisher and put it out. That was kind of that was the second thing to actually catch on fire at work last week, or I should say this week, since it's still. Well, no, last week. It's Saturday now. At least for me. It looks like it's a big Chevy 5500 that we use mainly for plow and hauling stuff, and it's got a 2 battery setup. The batteries went dead for some reason, and they just thought it sits quite a bit. We don't use it a lot, but it still shouldn't have gone dead because they were pretty new batteries in them. And when it does run, it runs for hours at a time. So it wasn't really sitting long enough to. I mean, we used it like a week or so ago. So anyway, yeah, went to go jump it, and checked in the manual. It's got a jump block, tied right into that. Tried to jump it. Jump pack wasn't really quite powerful enough. Almost started. I was like, I'll let it sit for a few minutes, charge it up, and then I look up and there's smoke coming out from underneath the hood, and because we had the plow on it, I had to have the hood down while I was jumping it, and since it's a forward opening hood, which is really annoying if you have a plow on it. And yeah, open up the hood, and there's like foot tall flames, like just about. And it was just some of the wiring for what they think is that basically there was the short drained the battery, and then when we tried to jump it, it basically just put all the power through the short. And now I've lost my wrench. And so it was kind of yeah. Well, we said it didn't. I was luckily right next to the maintenance shop, so which was the truck was like 5 feet from the building, but I ran right in and grabbed a fire extinguisher and put it out. So no, it's basically limited to some pigtails and such. So hopefully it's they can either. Yeah, it was cold out. I need to warm up. But yeah, and then the like a day or two before that, one of our time clocks just randomly burst into flames. Almost, it was burning on the inside, but so I don't know what it is with things catching on fire at work today or this week, but I guess it seems like it was the week for it. Which, like I said, made it a little interesting. Oop, not those. There we go. All right, let's get some of this button back up now. And let's see if we can get. So we should. Let me see what else we got. We still got to go down and. I think that's everything for the wait. Oh, I screwed that. No, that's all right. We still gotta have a vent coming through the wall, because that is the intake line for the for the the CO2 filter, basically. Really, I wish I'd stop throwing stuff on the. So we'll stick right there. Get this. Where's the T junction? Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm still waiting for the ore scanner. I think I already mentioned that, but that does look interesting. And they did a little bit more stuff with water, I guess. Okay, we should be good there. Yeah, let's get that closed back up. And yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, I'm hoping so. And hang on, I've got to actually change my screen here because it's. There we go. My chat was being overlaid a little bit by another window. All right, so now there's an intake for the filter to run through. There's the output for the CO2 to come back in, well, from the CO2 system. And then now when we purge this room of the CO2, it will dump it back into that filtration line as well. So that if there's anything in there besides CO2, it will go through the system, and then the system can resupply the CO2. So that should work out pretty good. I think the only thing we have left now is to isolate we've got to isolate the power line, and then we should be able to get this up and running. I do kind of like this a little bit better. Oh, you know what I want to we should do while this is depressurized is I still want to put a console out on the other side of the wall so that we can pull the temperature and the I think really all I care about is the temperature. Yeah, there's only stacked to 5. So we're going to want to stick a console, I'm thinking up here. And now I haven't messed with the LEDs yet. Those only display numbers, or can we display like regular stuff on them as well? Huh. I think we'll just go with a regular console because we should be able to. And I can't remember, do we need a dual console? Oh, actually, yeah, console dual. Yeah, we do need a dual console. Okay. And I think, yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, because we can just set it up to display the pressure or temperature. Yeah. Oh, I did notice. So yeah, there seems like there's a bug in the last update, or at least there is on the dev version. The sun is shining through the walls, which I've noticed that is every time the sun comes up, my base instantly gets like way brighter, which is kind of nice, but you know, not really that realistic. And I got an autosave. Hey, there we go. So how much wiring do we got? Not a lot. So while we do this, I think we have enough to get this done. But let's get some more, because we're definitely going to need wiring for the next section. And I think we're actually going to need some heavy wiring as well. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I mean, they might have. Which speaking of the walls, I do need to one of these days get the coverings on them. Let me see. So I think we're gonna run down. We'll run through over here. Well, except it is. Well, actually, I put it on right on the center. But I do want to throw another light because it makes it kind of dark over here. So we'll run the line down. Oh, yeah, I've got a window there. I'm like, why can't I get through? All right, let's see now. And I think we can just. Do I actually need to? I think I tested this before, and I. Oh, the building. I like it. I mean, that's. I like that. I mean, I really like Space Engineers, but after I don't know so many thousands of hours I have into it, it's just it got a little old. Um, but I do like. I mean, I like how you can run the wiring, you can run the piping, um, which is obviously in Space Engineers, as long as it's all on the same grid, it just kind of you know I am looking forward to some type of inventory system at some point, but. And I think I checked this before. And that's going to be a little too high, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And, I'm looking forward to all the other stuff they add. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I guess we kind of do have water filtration because we have the water, through the separators. But I wouldn't be surprised if they add some type of more in depth. And they've already stated that even the electrical system and stuff is just, the first bare bones iteration, basically. And did I not have any? Why is it not making that? Did I not hit the button? Oh, no, they just weren't rendering. I was like, that should be making cables. Which you can never have enough cables. There's never enough cables and never enough pipes. Yeah, it does. It takes a while to get everything going. And yeah, we're out of copper there. I think we still get 74 there, 69 there. And yeah, I'll probably have to go on another mining run relatively soon. How much heavy cable? Yeah, we're going to burn through probably a bit of copper. Yeah, especially getting everything figured out. I mean, I think I've basically destroyed the base twice now, and thankfully I keep multiple saves. So, and I did lose the base once as well. I went mining and my beacon. This is before the wired beacons, and my beacon went dead. And yeah, that was I couldn't find the base again. And which reminds me, at one of these days, I need to make the nuclear batteries and whatnot. And we're gonna do. Yeah, I want the other light a little bit farther away. I do now, but that was before they added the fixed beacons in. And so yeah, it was fun times. I went around looking for it for a while, and it kind of sucked because it was right after I had put in the all the ACs and the heaters and ran all the piping and stuff for that, and I basically had to redo it all. But you know. And I think, yeah, my earlier streams, it's like, uh, well, stuff only renders so far. I mean, the base blocks themselves do quite a bit, but yeah, I tried that and I couldn't see it. All right, so we'll put a corner here, and then, oop, and then we can get another light over there, and that'll work pretty good. All right, and I think I did check before. Oh, I keep trying to walk through that window. In hindsight, I probably should like paint the base white or something. Let me see which way we need to turn that. Yeah, I don't know how. I just picked a direction and I started walking because I was just looking for resource. I can't remember what I was looking for at the time, and I I was out for quite a while, and then of course I went to go turn on my tracker to get back, and no base beacon. I was like, oh. Come on, come on. And I really hate that on these. Oh, you know what? No, because I tried the gas one before and I had to use a dual because the singles would not work. Actually, I might be able to use a single on this case. Because I'm thinking the tanks had, if I remember correctly, I think the tanks had a separate, yeah, they just had a data port. That's why. Okay, so I can just put a single up here. And then I don't have to run another line. And, oh, I actually needed that. Oh, of course, window's in the way. All right, and we'll just put a single. Oh, really? Oh, I guess we can have it up there. I don't really want it that high, though. It's going to be hard enough to read once. And maybe we'll just drop the line. Because, of course, it doesn't want to place it right where the... Well, the line's in the way, but... All right, let's just change that and drop it down. Okay. Come on, come on. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm getting weird lag spikes now that seems to have started in the last couple of updates. Okay, so we should just need and I might have one of the chips. Air control? I think it's the air control. Or is that the, no, that's the, yeah, we don't want that one. And again, crowbar on glass. Right, I still don't get that. We're going to need that. We'll leave it over there. Give me that one. I think it's the gas display is what we need. Which probably is going to need copper that I just used up all of in here. Control, door control, gas display. There we go. Can we build it? Nope, copper. For some reason, every time I pop these out of the machine, I remember, back 20 episodes ago when my ingots mysteriously disappeared, and I've still never found that one ingot. I did find copper ingot, like, I don't know, a couple 100 meters from the base, but the rest of it I never did find. And that's still gonna remember that every time I pop those out. That's why I usually try not to leave them. Yeah, that's gonna probably be a bit smaller than I would like. Is that it? Yes. I really wish there was like a hover on the jetpack. Is that temperature? Temperature. Yes, very nice. Okay. So 14.2. Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, we can see that for quite a ways. That will let us keep an eye on the greenhouse without having to run in there. Because really, I'm just going to have ferns and I'm just going to fill it up with ferns. And eventually, I'll just expand all the rows. I'm hoping at some point we'll have like kind of tiered ones so that we can have, multiple trays, maybe. There was a suggestion to add like artificial grow lights so that you can have like a greenhouse underground. Obviously or supplement so at night your plants would still grow, which was kind of a neat idea. The drawback is, of course, it's going to use power. But I'm assuming that's probably, not a high, priority item. But you never know. I mean, I'm just looking forward to the getting the ore scanner. I'm hoping it's gonna have a decent range. I forget, what they said the range on it was gonna be, but it should hopefully make it a bit easier to find. Especially when you're looking for a specific resource. And I wouldn't mind having the option to, have a, have some settings on the maybe so that you could set it to use. Oh, there we go. That kind of lights up the rest of that area now. That'll work. All right. So we should be up and running for the greenhouse again then. Except for we actually got to separate the power line. Which, let's, first of all, let's throw these blocks back down. Yeah, we're going to leave that open while we do this. Okay, we're at an hour and a half, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here, but I'm going to come back. Oh, look at that. It's reading from my jetpack. It's 210 degrees in there. Or is there weird temperature? Wait a minute. No, okay, I did turn the torch off. It seems like the weird oh, nope, there it goes. Oh. Maybe, I don't know if that's from the jetpack or not. I've noticed I was getting some weird temperature spikes earlier. It is dropping, but, oh, there's no pressure, so I'm not going to kick that on. But it doesn't seem like it's as bad as when it was randomly doing the temperature spikes before, and the base would be like 1600 degrees until you pumped a little teeny bit of air in, and then it would fix it. But I'm going to see if we still... we don't actually even need to probably have that set up like that anymore. Um, yeah, it might be worth it to change that. Since now we're dumping into the intake on this filter over here, which is set up for CO2, this line right here. Um, I don't know. I kind of like the way this does work, so I kind of like it. Because right now what this does is basically when we come in from the greenhouse and we close the door and this is full of CO2, then we kick this on and it was dumping the CO2 back into the base. Anything else, it was dumping, or it dumps the CO2 back into the greenhouse, and then anything else it was dumping into the base. Um, so basically oxygen, nitrogen. Um, and then I don't, where did I have the other one running though? Because that doesn't tie into the waste. So this is filtration output, which is grabbing carbon. Because, I mean, really, we don't have, the carbon's like, I don't know, like the rarest, one of the rarest resources in the world right now. Oh, we actually got quite a bit from somewhere. Um, oh, you know what? I bet a lot of it was sitting in the filter. It was because, yes, when I was working on the AC system, that filter used to be tied into the return vent down here, the passive vent, and basically the AC was turned into it as well. So when I pulled that off, it was basically pressurizing the pipe that it used to vent through. Um, yeah, it's still not that much. And now, of course, since I did this with the windows, the greenhouse is even slightly bigger. Um, and how much do we have in our waste? Oh, we actually have quite a bit in our waste tank. So that'll help. Which we can, while I'm thinking about it, dump in real quick. And wrong thing. All right. And I do want to move this too, which maybe when we're tearing apart walls, because I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it over here. The plan is to move the battery charger over here, and then there was going to be a like base pressure, the battery charging kind of what our storage capacity is. I'm going to set something up for that so we don't have to run down to check the batteries, and then that way we can always keep an eye on if we need to expand the system. But the so I'm thinking of having the battery charger and the you know the basically collection tank, whatever we want to call it, right there as well. That way we don't even have to come over here to dump stuff off, basically. And I do like using it to test the system. Sometimes I throw my jetpack tank in there or whatever too, and I do, since we can pull data off of these now, I want to put a monitor above it so it'll tell me when the tank's empty, because sometimes like I'll pick it back up and it still has like 100 kPa in it or something. As long as they're empty, it doesn't matter. Because you can put anything in it. I mean, if I dump out like an oxygen tank, they're just color coded. Uh, you know, I could take my oxygen tank, dump it in there. If it's empty, then yeah. See, that's why when I put the thing on it, because I couldn't see anything, or can't tell. Yeah, you could swap it. I mean, if I did that, then I could easily, it doesn't matter as long as there's nothing. Well, it'll mix a ratio as well. So if I had a little bit in there, then when you actually like vent the tank, you can have a mix, which is kind of interesting and really bad if you don't quite set up your. Really, I'm like just hitting the wrong buttons. Um, there we go. Anyway, we'll let that one fill. Should be doing pretty good. Oh, look at that. Exactly at 18. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I ran into that issue with my airlock when I initially set it up because I was like, oh, I won't go back into, just dump it into the base. I said I'll dump it into the filtration system, or I'll dump it back into the oxygen system, not thinking that, of course, using the jetpack and the welder and the base, you contaminate the air. So basically, the first time I cycled my airlock, I ended up contaminating my whole entire oxygen supply, and I had to purge the whole system, um, which is basically just dump everything into the base and then have it re-intake to run through the filtration system. It just, obviously took a while, and I had to verify that everything was out of like the tanks. Because unfortunately, right before I pressurized the base, I said, well, I don't know if I have enough to pressurize it. I'm going to die. I don't, there was still atmospheric issues, and, you know, oxygen would just, it would just disappear. So I ended up, I said, oh, I'll top off my tank, and yeah, I basically tried to pressurize my base. Most of the atmosphere leaked out because of the bugs and calculating the sealed rooms, and then I'm running around with, you know, contaminants in my tank, and it's just constantly making me flush it and tell me that, you know, my watching my lungs take more and more damage. So that was fun time, uh, and I think I ended up trying to rig up the, get the system straightened out and get everything filtered out. And I think I ended up I think the easy fix was I just threw a fill station in right off of this, purged the tank, and then, was able to pull an oxygen tank off of there. But yeah, yeah, it'd probably been better if I thought of that in the first place. But now that I'm looking at this, though, we can tie right into the filtration system and let it pump everything back in. Um, though it does work kind of fine the way it is. And yeah, I do like the fixed beacons. They are nice. I do want to hook that up to a motion sensor at some point and have it set so, and I don't know what the range is on the motion sensors, or I'm assuming it does by room. Um, if it does, then I like to just put a motion sensor in every room, and then basically if it detects no motion, saying so basically nobody's in the base, it kicks the beacon on, and you know. Oh, well, that's good to know. Yeah, I haven't looked into anything like the files themselves and stuff. Um, hopefully they'll just get the respawn mechanics working up, and because I would have just, killed myself. And hey, no temperature, very nice. Yeah, that weird temperature spike did go away. I'm still wondering if that was from my jetpack. Anyway, so now that I got distracted with the CO2 amounts, and then talking about tanks, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here, take like a 5-10 minute break, go top off my coffee, whatnot. And then I'm going to come back with basically another episode, picking up right where we left off on this one. I kind of really want to get the greenhouse back up and running, and try to tweak all these systems. And I've got to sit and think about if we actually need this now. I don't think we do. I think we can just dump right into, since that's the filtration line, because then it'll dump any oxygen and nitrogen and anything back into the system, and it can just come out through the regular vents. So we shouldn't even need that there. This one will still need, because we need to be able to pull air in from the base, and I'm not gonna, there's no point really to tie in the oxygen nitrogen mix line. So we'll, yeah, that runs good, because if the base is pressurized, then we just pressurize it, and the base is not, then we just ignore it. So, all right, well, this is Mickey D. This was episode 36 of Stationeers. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think the greenhouse is gonna coming along a lot better. Got some improvements there. And then obviously we've got the automated temperature control downstairs for the rest of the base. And hopefully we can, in the next episode, wrap up this and moving the wiring in the base into the different zones, so we can get everything back powered on, pressurized, and running. So like I said, I'll see you guys in about 5-10 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode.